Hey everyone, Rachel Weaver here. I am on faculty at Lighthouse, and so is Jenny Shank. She is going to do a virtual book review for us as part of our community engagement. Jenny has been reviewing books for 22 years. She has written reviews for books in the High Country News, Dallas Morning News, Rocky Mountain News, LA Times, and the Minneapolis Star Tribune. Thanks for being here, Jenny. I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you. I'm always
Okay.
books or talk to anyone at these times who are stuck in.
No kidding. Okay, Jenny, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you introduce our next book.
Okay, the next fabulous book that I really loved is called Home Baked by Alia Volz, and it came out on 4/20 because it's about pot brownies. It is the first book by Alia Volz. She's very accomplished. I don't know if you can see her. She was a runner-up of the Moth's Grand Slam Championship, and she has had her stuff published in New York Times and Tin House and other places, but this is her first book. And part of the reason she's publishing it now is because she had to wait until the statute of limitations ran out on her family story before she could tell it to you. And it's just great. It reminds me, I like to recommend writers different books to help them with their structural or creative problems. And this book in structure reminded me a lot of The Yellow House by Sarah Broom, which just came out last year. And I think she was coming to LitFest, and she won like every award. And what's similar about them is they're both like a type of memoir that also combines history of the family and history of the city before they showed up. So it starts before either of them are born. This one's about New Orleans. This one's about San Francisco. So it tells the story of her family, but it also tells the story of the city really beautifully, because as you're going to see that her mom was kind of intimately involved with a lot that happened in San Francisco. So her mom grows up in Wisconsin, I think, and she gets in a little trouble with pot in Wisconsin in college, but it gets cleared up, and she's like, I need to leave. And so she comes to San Francisco in 1975, and she meets a lot of people while she's there. And one of the people she meets is a lady who sells pot brownies down on the pier, and she walks around with a bag full of pot brownies. And when her mom's name is Meredy Domnitz, and she hasn't been there for very long when this lady gets a vision. They work through visions a lot. There's a lot of like psychics and visionaries in this book, and says that she needs to leave her business to Meredy and like go somewhere else. And so Meredy takes over the business. However, Meredy can't cook. It's really comical. Alia tells some stories about like how she doesn't even know how to boil water. So she's really good. Like she's really good people person. She's outgoing. She's a perfect saleswoman, but she needs to find someone who can actually bake the brownies and do a good job. And when she tries, it's horrible, horrible failure. So she does eventually find some reliable bakers, and she heads out into the city with a bag of brownies over her shoulder. And they also bake legitimate baked goods. So they have that in front, and then the hot brownies are on the back. And so the people that know the secret can be like, can I have a special brownie? And then she becomes well known as the brownie lady. And the business is kind of perfect for not getting caught, because she just goes around once a week. She goes to the Haight, she goes to the Mission, she goes to Pier 39, and she goes into people's business, and she just, coyly asks, wink, wink, do you want any? And oftentimes they do, because these are minimum wage workers, and they have 8 hours to get through, so they want the brownies. And the business just grows and grows. And the other thing is, so eventually Alia's dad comes into the picture. His name is Doug Volz, and he's also like a psychic kind of visionary type guy. And both the parents are artists too. So I want to show you some pictures throughout the book. There's beautiful artwork that her parents did. This is Sticky Fingers Brownie. I think her dad illustrated that. So each week, the batch of brownies, he would hand draw a new a new bag. He would draw a design on the bag. So this one's awesome. It's got like a cowboy riding a brownie. And, and so there's all these drawings throughout. And I wanted to read a little bit from this because what I think she does so well is she's telling some of it's like personal history or history of a city. Some of it even gets into the politics of San Francisco, which could be totally dry, but she does it with such verve and interest that she keeps your attention the whole time. And I want to read just a little bit of description of Meredy, her mom, who's just a wonderful, wonderful character. And you'll see from this passage here. At 68, my mom got initiated into the Santeria religion. After having her street clothes cut from her body with scissors, she kneeled naked in a shower stall, eyes closed, while the priestess bathed her in holy water and chanted in Yoruba. I'm gonna skip down a little bit because she has other religions that she's into. My mom also uses the I Ching, a Chinese divination method nearly 4,000 years old. She's handy with tarot cards and astrology too. Occasionally, she observes aspects of the Judaism she grew up with, and she adores Christmas, mostly for the pagan-like adoration of evergreen trees, the dreamy lights, the exchange of gifts. Some might call this dabbling, but I think of her more like a witch at a cauldron using a pinch of this, a dash of that. And so Meredy's is this wonderful character, and you follow their journey as their business grows and grows, and then they get worried about getting caught. Meanwhile, you get this history that's really emotional about the gay community in San Francisco, the history of Harvey Milk and other, they meet Sylvester, a disco star. She knows all these famous people. And then you get to see how the AIDS crisis strikes this community and how the pot brownies become a necessary medicine for them before pot is legal. And then she writes so beautifully about gentrification because, as she describes it, San Francisco is geographically limited by its watery boundaries. And so whenever someone new comes, the old has to be forced out. So gentrification is always violent. And she writes with real beauty about all these gay friends that she lost during the AIDS crisis, and how she saw their houses going vacant, and their possessions, like there were tons of like antiques filling up the antique store because these people had nobody to give it to, the people that passed away. And then the next wave moves in and fills up those holes and pushes people out. And so she's a lifelong San Franciscan, and I think she still lives there. And so she kind of gives us a little bit of the contemporary scene of like people with their Teslas and things like that. But then she looks at the children that are being raised by people like that, and she's like, well, you know, they're just like me, San Francisco kids. And the next people will come and push them out too, because that's the way it always is in this city. And even the Bohemian people that her parents were involved in, they came and pushed out someone else. So she really gives us a great meditation on that. And it's funny, and it's full of like wild scenes and great pictures. And I just loved it. And it's good even if you're not a pothead, which I'm not. I just like margaritas. Rachel can attest to that. So I think it's a great, great book. And it'll take you away. Again, we're stuck inside. So you want something to take you away, take you to San Francisco in the 70s, and give you an immersive experience. So go get it from your independent bookstores. Keep them alive for when we get out of this.
Thank you, Jenny. That was awesome. And just to be clear, the book is coming out on 4/20 this year, correct?
So it's probably out by the time you run this video.
Yes, probably. Okay, great. Thank you so much for doing these for us. I really appreciate it. And I will see you for the next one.
Okay, thanks, Rachel.
All right, bye.